By now, you've lived long enough to know how fast life can flip on you. 1 minute, something feels untouchable, fresh, loud, and everywhere. And the next minute, it's gone, like it never mattered at all. That's exactly how Hodaka hit America in the 1960s and 70s. They weren't the biggest name, they weren't the richest company, and they sure weren't playing the brochure bragging game like the Big Four. They won with a strange, fearless kind of marketing, with trail and off-road bikes that fit what regular riders actually needed, and with prices that didn't punish a working man for wanting a little fun. Then, just like that, they vanished. And you're left with the same question echoing in your head. How in the hell did that happen? To understand how Hodaka even got a foot in America's door, you have to start in the late 1950s with a company that had nothing to do with motorcycles. Farm Chemical, fertilizer and agricultural products up in the Pacific Northwest, was staring down a real problem. If farm subsidies got cut after the 1960 election, their whole world could shrink overnight. So they did what smart businesses do when the ground starts shifting. They looked for a new lane. Japan made sense because Japan needed U.S. currency to buy American wheat and other crops, and trading goods and services could sidestep that money bottleneck. They sent Clarence Hesp to Japan to hunt opportunities. He came back with 3: boats, furniture, or motorcycles. Thankfully for the rest of us, they chose motorcycles. They partnered up with a Japanese manufacturer called Yamaguchi Motorcycle, an established name over there and hungry to break into the U.S. market. To make the whole thing work on American soil, Farm Chemical set up a new outfit in 1961, the Pacific Basin Trading Company, that are known as PATCO, built to handle import and distribution. They brought in Henry Hank Kay to lead the charge. By the end of that first year, the crates started landing. Small two-stroke machines, 50 cubic centimeters road and trail bikes, scooters, and even a 125 cubic centimeters road bike in the mix. And it took off fast. By 1963, PATCO had imported and sold over 5,000 motorcycles and built a dealer network of roughly 480 shops. At that moment, it really did look like a match made in heaven. Then, in April of 1963, the floor dropped out. Yamaguchi told PATCO they were shutting down. Bankrupt, finished, lights out. And the story that's always been told has a twist that still feels unreal. Yamaguchi had run the company's finances into the ground, backing his daughter's political campaign. She went on to win and became Japan's first female senator, which is a historic win for Japan. But it was a gut punch for everyone tied to the motorcycles. PATCO suddenly had no product to import, and Hodaka, the small Japanese company that had been building Yamaguchi's engines, lost its biggest customer overnight. One collapse, 2 businesses left hanging, and no safe landing in sight. PATCO didn't want out. Importing bikes had been good business, and for Hank, motorcycles weren't a side hustle, they were the heartbeat. So when Yamaguchi vanished, the answer that kept growing louder was simple. Forget waiting on someone else. Build their own. The deal Hank put on the table was bold and a little scary. PATCO would handle the design and the marketing for the American market. The tastes, the price point, the message. Hodaka, on the other hand, would have to build the entire motorcycle, not just the engine. And that's what made Hodaka hesitate. They'd been around a little over 10 years, and they'd never built a complete motorcycle in their life. But with Yamaguchi gone, there was no comfortable option left. It was adapt or die. From day one, their product philosophy wasn't complicated, almost stubbornly the opposite. Rule 1. Keep it simple, then make it simpler. Fewer parts meant fewer failures, And when something finally wore out, parts were easier to find and cheaper to replace. Rule 2. Only change something if it truly made the bike better. No redesigns just to look new on a showroom floor. Rule 3. Build a size that was satisfying for enthusiasts but still light, nimble, and friendly for the weekend warrior who just wanted to ride. Rule 4. Keep the price within reach, because motorcycling is supposed to be fun, not a financial stress test. And then came the move nobody does anymore. One base platform, improved over time, so new parts could be retrofitted onto older bikes, letting owners upgrade without buying a whole new machine. The motorcycle that made all of this real was the Ace 90, and on paper it didn't look like a monster. It was a single-cylinder two-stroke with a 4-speed gearbox making a little over 8 horsepower. Nothing to brag about at the diner, but it could still run about 60 miles per hour, and more importantly, it gave you an unfair amount of motorcycle for the money. Hodaka treated the buyer like a rider, not a wallet. You got that unmistakable metal tank, adjustable folding foot pegs, high ground clearance, high fenders, and a seat with thick foam that didn't punish you after a long loop. You got a tire pump, full lighting equipment, dual rear sprockets for changing up your gearing, a speedometer, and a carrying rack for real-world hauling. And then they went one step further. A toolbox with actual tools included. All of that for a retail price of $379. The video pegs that at roughly $3,775 in today's money. Not bad, especially when modern manufacturers will sell you an $18,000 bike and toss in a sad little toolkit that looks like it fell out of a catalog. Between 1964 and 1970, Patco moved over 24,000 Ace 90s and Ace 100s. Some historians even say Hodaka helped create the modern off-road trail bike market. Debatable, sure, but the impact is hard to argue with. Hodaka didn't just sell motorcycles. They sold belonging. Their marketing man, Marvin Foster, lived by one rule: the more you tell, the more you sell. So they didn't run tiny, forgettable ads. They ran full-page, black-and-white story ads that actually talked about features, about wins, about what the bikes could do in the real world. And each one had a hook you could hold in your hand, a coupon. Mail in 25 cents and they'd send you the Hodaka story, a little piece of persuasion that explained why this brand made sense for the racer and the weekend rider who just wanted to get out of town and breathe. They also pushed the idea that riders were one big family, and Hodaka was the friendly corner of that family. Then they stamped it with proof. Foster and Frank Wheeler rode Ace 90s all the way down to the Baja Peninsula in 30 days. No chase truck, no outside support, just grit, shirts on their backs, and a few cans of oil. That trip birthed the phrase, Hodaka doability. By 1967, Hodaka didn't blow up the formula. They tightened it, and that mattered. The Ace 100 stepped in to replace the Ace 90, and it was the same honest idea with sharper edges. It was a little faster, but the bigger change was the transmission. A 5-speed wide-ratio gearbox replacing the old 4-speed, giving riders a better spread for crawling through trails and still running comfortably on the road. The bike got better suspension, more refinement, and a more confident feel when you asked it to do 2 jobs in one day. Street to trail, trail to street. The Ace 100 kept that balance that made Hodaka feel like the smart choice, not the flashy one. With the Ace platform proven, Hodaka leaned into what riders were already doing, stripping the bike down to race, and built a purpose-made version, the Ace 100MX, a no-nonsense, pared-back competition machine. And this is where the branding magic turns into legend. The first prototype showed up at Patco with the initials SR on it, Special Racer. Parts manager Roger Phillips took one look and cracked, "SR? That stands for Super Rat." Everybody laughed, and then everybody realized it was perfect. They kept it. But the Super Rat wasn't a cute name slapped on a weak bike. The video calls it a racing weapon, and for under $500, it was the kind of machine that made people dangerous fast. Malcolm Smith put it plainly. In desert-class racing, you either rode a Super Rat or you wished you did. It won across the map: enduros, trail bike championships, even runs like Pikes Peak, and it helped launch a long list of future legends. After that, Hodaka stopped hiding behind model numbers. They named their bikes Wombat, Combat Wombat, Super Combat, Dirt Squirt, Road Toad, Thunderdog, and even created matching cartoon characters to seal that playful, unmistakable Hodaka personality. And for a brief window, it worked so well, it almost feels impossible in hindsight. The same operation that had been left stranded when Yamaguchi disappeared climbed right back up and took a seat at the big table. According to the story, Hodaka became the 6th largest motorcycle brand in America, behind Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Suzuki, and Harley-Davidson. They were hip in a way the giants couldn't fake. The bikes were rock solid, but they had attitude. They had that hard-to-define it factor, and the country could feel it. But the way Hodaka disappeared tells you a hard truth. It's almost never one bullet that kills a company. It's a whole magazine, fired slowly. First came the power shift. Shell swallowed up its subsidiary and took full control of Farm Chemical, and the old ownership began to peel away. Jerry Whitney cashed out and left. Clarence Hesp stayed for a while and then exited, and Ed Miley remained and took direct control of Patco. Then the heart of the operation was ripped out. Henry Hank Kay was tragically killed in a motorcycle accident. Chuck Swanson stepped in and was respected, but the chemistry wasn't the same. Without that original two-man magic, the cracks started showing in the products. The Combat Wombat and Super Combat weren't truly competitive as motocross bikes evolved fast, and the market got addicted to brand new models every year because Japan's Big Four kept raising the bar. And then Honda dropped a bomb. The CR-125 Elsinore, described here like the bike that bankrupted rivals by sheer momentum. Hodaka started losing the crowd that once swore by them. Now add the late 70s reality, a recession, and a US dollar that fell against the yen, making Japanese imports painfully expensive. Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, and Suzuki could sell at a loss and survive because motorcycles weren't their only income stream. Hodaka and Patco didn't have that safety net. They cut prices and bled out. It got uglier. The promised 175 didn't hit showrooms until 1977, nearly 2 years late. Hodaka also began secretly selling engines to other manufacturers without Patco knowing. Internally, they were behind the times, still keeping records in notebooks while competitors streamlined with newer systems. By the first half of 1978, Shell tried to sell Patco, but the industry saw it as toxic. A last-ditch attempt to buy the Hodaka engine plant went nowhere. Shell didn't renew the contract, and Patco vanished. Without Patco, Hodaka didn't last long. Liquidated, and the tooling was sold off to a Korean company for bikes in the Asian market. People love to say a meteoric rise, like success is something that shoots upward and stays there. But meteors don't rise, they fall. They burn bright across the sky, and only in that brief flash do you realize how rare they are. That's Hodaka and Patco. They came out of nowhere. Fertilizer money, a broken import deal, a small Japanese engine shop. And in a few short years, they were sitting at the big table. Not by acting corporate, not by acting expensive, by being laid back, playful, and real, and by pushing one simple idea. Stop overthinking it. Get out there and ride. And even now, they're not gone the way most dead brands are gone. Every year, Hodaka people still roll into Athena, Oregon, the home turf of Patco, to swap stories, show bikes, and unlock that deep, stubborn part of the brain where the best memories get stored. In Japan, there's a phrase, Ichigo Ichie, for this time only. And over here, we've got our own version, delivered with a shrug and a smile. That was fun while it lasted.